So I'm stood in front of St. Cuthbert statue here at Worksop College. Here, of course, is our patron saint, and today is one of the 2 days of the year that we can celebrate St. Cuthbert. So I thought it'd be a good idea to think about our patron saint, St. Cuthbert, and what he can teach us today. So why is the statue here at the College of Cuthbert show him holding a head? Can you see that? He's holding a head. Well, I'll come to that in a moment, but first let's consider what we can learn from Cuthbert. So Cuthbert lived a long time ago. He was a monk. We might think that our world is very different to his, but there are things we share. As we're now entering this time of isolation, it's worth remembering that throughout many centuries, people have been choosing to do that same thing, to isolate themselves for a time. So they might come nearer to the truth of our lives, face ourselves and God. Being alone can be hard, but it can also be a time of great blessing if we are aware of what it is that we're going through. Cuthbert lived a very busy life. A lot was asked of him. He had to run a monastery, and he was a bishop of a large area of the north of England many, many centuries ago. But he was unhappy doing this. Being busy didn't bring him closer to God, he found. And so Cuthbert decided to self-isolate for a few years on a small island off the coast of Northumbria. And this was not a new idea at all. Finding truth in times of isolation had been happening for a long time. When Jesus needed to be close to his Father, to God, he often withdrew from those around him for a time. He self-isolated too. He faced his situation head-on and in prayer. Fasting has long been a useful tool in our spiritual journey, and fasting can be as much more than just going without food. We can fast from our own habits and make new habits, discover things afresh. And many, since the time of Jesus, have found a closeness to God in withdrawing from normal society, from a busy life. We know that for those with children at home or with money worries or a host of other life-changing problems thrown up by no fault of our own, this may feel like a hopeless aspiration. But perhaps for some of us, some limited extent, we can view the present situation as not so much a restriction from on high as an opportunity from even higher. We can gain a new perspective on our lives as things look so different to us now, just as Jesus did in the desert and Cuthbert did on his island. We can gain a new perspective then on our lives as things look to us to be so different, just as Jesus did too. Imagine the last time you woke up to find the whole landscape transformed by snow. Everything seemed different and looked different, and you could see things as if for the first time with fresh eyes. Well, this time is a bit like that. That's the opportunity we have, to see things for the first time with fresh eyes. Don't think about what you're not able to do, but instead think of what great opportunity this is to see things from a new perspective. At the very least, we can try and lift ourselves out of the everyday pressures by picking up that book that's been sitting unopened on the shelf since we bought it, perhaps. St. Paul's letter to the Romans gives us hope in the face of difficulty. He wrote this: "I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory about to be revealed to us." So let's now come back to my first question at the start. Why is our statue of St. Cuthbert holding a head in his hands? Well, this head is the head of St. Oswald, King of Northumbria in the 7th century. He was the person who did more than any other to spread Christianity throughout the north of England at that time. But he wasn't born a Christian. He began following Jesus during a period of exile, away from home. So he too knew about isolation. And in that isolation, he found a new direction in life, new quality. In 1124, when St. Cuthbert's body was moved to Durham Cathedral, where it still is today, King Oswald's head was found in the coffin with Cuthbert under his safekeeping. Well, that just leads me to say, St. Cuthbert, pray for us as we enter this time of isolation. God bless you and thank you for listening. Until next time, bye-bye.